In the journey of life, you are in control of your own destiny. Where you go and how far, you decide. Good day, everyone. We have the pleasure of having with us today a husband and wife duo who have authored a series of spiritual books called the Gospel Family Trilogy. Their paths have traveled across many different roads, physically and spiritually. Let's take a closer look at how their journey and how they can inspire us in our personal journeys. Welcome, Rob and Gaia, to the show.
Hi.
Hello.
Today, you've managed to write a series of books called the Gospel Family Trilogy. What inspired you to create this series, and what does it mean today in relationship to God and family, which is so sacred?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's actually a really big question, that relationship between God and family. It hasn't really been understood up until now that relationship, God and family, is actually really the primary purpose of creation. And we could go into a whole big, long lecture here, but basically God created the creation, made the creation, and then eventually in the last day created mankind as his children to be able to build a family of love, so that God himself can experience true love. As well as giving it, he can receive it. So that is the role of the family. And that I pass on over here.
I was kind of an inspiration to write the book. I was not a seeker like Robert was. I was not seeking God, but my sister was in Italy. I am from North Italy. And she was really had always a big question in her life. And one time she invited me to this kind of lecture that I was resisting to go, but I was so impressed about the ideal of creation. That is was Robert, in few words, express it to you now. The ideal of creation that was be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. And basically the multiply is have a family. So the family, each individual can relate personally with our Heavenly Father, God, and then between themselves and as a unit, you know. So with that interview and learning of lecture, actually, I remain in the organization and learn an incredible deal. And 2012, Jesus' return, or Reverend Moon, died. And so I felt compelled to really vindicate his life, also because of last betrayal of his wife. Anyway, I'm really jumping in many ways, but this is what really motivates me just to bring about the vindication of life of Reverend Moon, that for mankind, he was 7 times cross death. And kind of resurrected because of the will of God. There is a lot of information to learn, and that's why we wrote this book. Mm-hmm. And yes.
Would you say that, I know we were discussing your books and I had a chance to read them, and they're a very good read to tell our audience, very easy read, very deep read, inspires one to really think about the concepts. And one thing you said to me was, even though the Absolute Good Sex book, which I have right here, the Absolute Good Sex books, even though it was written later, it's really probably, you said, the first book that maybe people should read. Can you tell me why?
Well, it's kind of a roadmap. It expresses how a single individual, maybe a teenager, whatever, can start out in their more adult life, living a life of purity, of abstinence, in preparation for getting married, then getting married, the values of marriage, the special things in marriage, how to maintain marriage, how to develop it, how to take care of children, and even going on as far as how we can actively move towards building a new civilization. So it contains a lot of information there. The trilogy books go into more of the foundation of that. But if you read that book first, what it'll do is it'll tweak your interest, and really, it's so exciting to think, hey, we can actually build a better world. We can make this world a world of peace and happiness and joy. And especially when you look around and see the miserable whatevers that are in the government right now, so desperately trying to destroy this world, we need to have an alternative, a much better philosophy and ideal that can actually build the kingdom of heaven on the earth, is what we like to call it.
You know, you're very right, because one of the things that sadly in today's society, abstinence is not being taught in the schools.
Nope.
And families are so wrapped up trying to work and sustain a lifestyle. And there's been, unfortunately, society has created a lack of focus and guidance, which is so needed today. So children need to know to be raised with a sense of respect for their body and for their spirituality and respect. And hopefully this will help. I believe it really can help a lot of parents who are out there starting off in their relationships and passing that along for our society and for the future of humanity. But sadly, on that point, today, there's not many couples who have a relationship like you and Gaia have, who can start off with a great love affair and manage to work together successfully to create, some masterpiece of work. So what inspired you in your relationship to be able to move ahead and forge in such a project?
I would like to reiterate a little bit something, because our book, The Absolute Good Sex, reiterate once again that before marriage, you need to be fruitful. What is the fruit of your life? The fruit of your life is your relationship with God. And until you are mature, if there is no maturity in that kind of relationship, by say there is immaturity, so there is a path of fulfillment or no fulfillment, because you can really relate with in a couple relationship with a mature feeling, like Robert was mentioning, living for the sake of others. My interest is not for me just to be the best that I can be. I want him to succeed. And I know that in his heart want kind of the same. And that's kind of a rare things in relationship, that one really live for the sake of others. I would like to clarify that our trilogy and book, they're all Bible-based, and they are really a magnific information to really understand the time that we are living now and the time that we are recreating family center.
Mm-hmm. And also, I'd just like to add a little bit to that in terms of the relationship point that you were asking about. How do we have such a good relationship? We actually talk about it in that Absolute Good Sex book. It's really critical to have both a vertical relationship and a horizontal relationship. Jesus spoke of this when he was asked, what is the most important of the commandments? And he said, love God, and the next is like it, love your neighbor as yourself, which is basically you have the vertical relationship between you and God. God is high and mighty, right? But he's also our Father. So you've got the vertical relationship with God, and then you've got the horizontal relationship with your neighbor, or in this case, with your spouse. So having that vertical relationship is really what can tie a couple together, sharing a common inspiration, a common vision, which is kind of like the vertical thing, which for us is we want to build the kingdom of heaven on earth.
Well,
right? So we have that vertical, then we can develop our horizontal, which is the relationship between the two of us.
Yeah, right, right.
And, even, there's things that you disagree with, and having a punch bag in the basement is always a good way out. But aside from that, you know, having the ability to be able to talk to each other freely and honestly is really what can make it great. You know, make it great. So we go into that actually in that book, Absolute Good Sex. So
I also want to share with the audience, even though it was not on here, one of the things that Rob and Gaia asked was, can we pray before we start the show? And I think that's one of your secrets. And I think that's probably, you would agree, one of the secrets to a good family is we're all going to go through our ups and downs. And that's clear in your books. There's the trials and tribulations that we take as being imperfect and being God's children. But at those times to stop and pray and really focus on what needs to get done. I really appreciate that because that comes across in your work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to say something also about God. We know that God is love. The reason why it's coming, it is descending vertically because that's the way it is. The Spirit of God is really descending vertically to us through our 7 chakra. As I have studied energy medicine, I really confirm you that, and then horizontally. But the whole mean of relationship is that sense of dependence from God, that every step you take is really not your step because we are from within and not without. So we are our spirit and not our body. And so with that acknowledgement, you acknowledge your spirit. And verbally or not verbally, what do you want me to do, Heavenly Father? Shall I go right or shall I go left? Especially when you are in the middle of situation that you need a child. You cannot just go by yourself. You have to ask your Heavenly Father that is your higher self.
Exactly. And, you know, we live in such a challenging world. And we're seeing all kinds of foreign things. And it's almost as if we're living in biblical times.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Yes.
We're really living in a time of judgment.
This is word, yeah.
That's right. That's right. And I think we need to acknowledge it. We had it good for a while. And sometimes when that happens, when things are going really well, evil comes in to test us. And we need to be the best we can be and be unified. But saying that today is in a challenging time is putting it lightly. But what would be the one piece of advice to guide young people today who are thinking about possibly starting a family and following a spiritual path that they can fulfill in their relationship? What would be the first thing you would say to them?
Well, it's, you know, it has to come from you. It has to be initiated from you. God is always there. He's been there for all of eternity. He made the creation. But he gave us freedom and responsibility because we are God's children. Therefore, we have freedom
and value.
So he can't just dictate what we do. He can't just point the direction and say, do that. He can say, do that strongly, but then he backs off and gives us the freedom to accomplish it. And if you read the Bible, you'll see it's a constant story of God waiting for people to make the right move, the right step. And so many people made mistakes from which we can learn as well. So it's really critical to have the attitude. Well, first of all, for a young person to develop a good relationship with their parents. Now, it's very unfortunate that today, and this is actually part of this really Satan's attack on the world. Satan tries to make, first of all, he tries to break down the family. So there's no father figure in the family. He tries to get rid of the father figure. And so many kids are growing up with no father figure. This is a real tragedy. You need to, for the kids, it's really good if they don't have a father figure in the family, to find a good spiritual father figure that they can connect with, because that helps them develop that vertical relationship, helps them so that they can much more easily connect with God. When you've got no vertical relationship at all, with no father in the house or whatever, then it's very difficult to really build that connection to God. So that's point one. And point two is really respect your parents, because they are, even if they're crazy, they are still wiser than you, because they have lived a lot longer than you and had a lot more experience than you. And that's the other thing that, the socialists are trying to destroy, is the respect for the elders. They're trying to tell the kids, oh, you know so much better than they do. They're way out of time, way out of line, way out of, understanding. Just reject your parents. We can guide you. And that's really evil. So respect your parents and try to develop a relationship with a father figure so that you can develop that relationship with God.
So if I still have a young kid, I really would like them to bring them to Jesus, to really connect with Jesus, because in their young life, and they are so open and so innocent and so pure, this is really give them the reality that there is a greater love, that your parents are an expression of that love, but there is above somebody else above them. And when they have a relationship with Jesus at the level of whatever they are, I will just love them unconditionally and ask them to really seek in their heart what they want to do with their life. If that boy or girl good for you, ask Jesus. Where do you want to go? Please know that the path that you take it, there is a consequences of the path that you take it. You take it, there is two dogs in you, one good and one bad. If you choose in the good one, you have a good result. If it's not, it's the other one. So then, if I have a young fellow that need to get married, I really want to connect it with the Jesus turn again and the second coming, that also, you never saw this one, Anastasia. He wrote his own autobiography. And this is really very understanding, because when you connect it to the spirit of love, you have a power on your back, like a wind that really push you forward. Mm-hmm. You are really more than what you are, and you have to go with it.
So let me ask you, because I think our audience has a clearer understanding of your spiritual and philosophical concepts that brought you together, and really as a guide to spirituality. So tell me, what brought about your first book? What was the inspiration? What made you say, listen, we need to write this down? I know it's going to be a lot of work, but we need to get this done.
Which one is the first?
Well, the first book we wrote actually ended up being book 3 in the trilogy. Because we wrote that, and she'll give you the breakdown on how we wrote that. But it was, once I'd written it, I gave it to some friends, especially this one very Christian, very devout person.
To read it
and to critique it for me. And he goes, oh, this is way too deep for me. I just need nice, uplifting, inspirational talk. And I realized, well, we've actually learned maybe total high university level theology.
There is no more.
We need to simplify it a little bit. So we went back and we wrote books 1 and 2 to go before book 3. But she can tell you what inspired us originally. She was the inspiration, this one here.
Yeah. So the inspiration was really to write about family, as I understood that family is really the cornerstone of society, a good family. And we don't want to think about the family. We call family, there are many kinds of family, but we talking about Judeo-Christian family. There is Adam and Eve, no Adam and Steve around here. Okay, and it's even not enough husband and wife and children. This is a family. But then there is an extension of that. And the ideal of God is 3 generations, blessed central family, where grandparents, parents, and children, they're really living together. The extension of your house and your garden and your pet and your ancestor. These are part of the family that we're talking about, where really God can express himself in all this reality. And well, that was my idea. Things that have an idea to the true family value. the value of the family. But then when I brought it to what I wrote down and what I prepared to Robert, he really said, well, no, I want to do something better. I really want to, it is part of our tradition as a family regularly to read a pledge where we can take responsibility to really bring God on this earth, to really love our fellow man, whoever is around, and to really be proactive in all these attributes of righteousness, goodness, and all the things, And he just wanted to rewrite the pledge.
Use the pledge.
Use the pledge
as a foundation.
As a foundation, the family pledge, and that's what it entail, and is really very precious, because if a young couple can read that, our information is a completed Testament age. There is no more given from heaven. That's it. We're talking about Old Testament, New Testament, Christ returned again. He was victorious. This is a completed Testament age. What we experience right now on this, on the earth and on the universe is the last day. Is a judgmental day. Is an ideological things when good and evil are really separate. And that's why
the crossover time between good and evil. Evil is on the decline, and so it's fighting like crazy to maintain its existence. Good is on the rise, and it will overtake and subjugate evil.
And that's why these books are actually an aid to this kingdom coming, or the ideal of God, where it can be really redirected and really tangible come on earth.
Well, every war has an army, and you need to have your blueprint of how we're going to fight. And your books are a guide to that. And
thank you.
I also want to say, the way we met, when you have God in your heart, I think you're naturally attracted to people who have a light. And sometimes we don't realize it. It's more of a connection. And when I met you and Robert, if you don't mind me saying so, I saw that love and I saw a light, and there was a mutual appreciation. And it's a beautiful thing to find others and to socially wrap yourself around people who are like-minded, because the last thing you want to be is alone in a relationship and alone in a community.
Right.
So thank you very much. So let me ask you, so this great couple here who has done so much for others, because for anybody who's written this amount of books and have sat and contemplated, how do we get these very deep thoughts out there communicated to society? It's very time consuming and very difficult, but what are your plans and aspirations for the future? What now? What is your next steps? What are your goals?
I am always kind of the inspirational things, and I start to write a book about the spiritual world and physical world, because I feel to do so. I feel always a need to complement our information, to really put off information where people can appreciate it and learn from it, and eventually connect it to Christ's return.
That's beautiful. So let me ask you, where can our audience be able to purchase your books or find out more about your message and what your beliefs are?
Okay. You can go to our website, which is the King's Ways, both of those plural, kingsways.org. And you'll find all of our books there. Or you can go to Amazon.com and go to the book, the library, whatever they call it, the book section in Amazon. And you'll find it there. They actually just developed now a system where you can connect books as a trilogy. So you can even put things that you can search for the Gospel Family Trilogy, and it should come up with these 3 books in this order, just like that. And or you can search for Absolute Good Sex, But as with anything on Amazon, you got to put the right words in.
Thank you, Gaia and Rob Carvell. Their books can be purchased, as I said, on Amazon.com. You'll find a list on our site here of how you can get more information and how you can purchase their books. We're wishing them much continued success in all you do and your communication in helping others. And I leave our audience with this question. Do you feel spiritually fulfilled? And does your family life reflect the values you desire? Pick up and read the Gospel Family Trilogy, and you decide. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank
you for your time. Thanks.
To receive all our constitutional news, go to ideclarecommunications.com, where you'll see on our homepage here our mission. And you'll also see a monthly newspaper called Declaration News. When you click on that, you'll be able to see a flip page of what our newspaper is all about. And that comes out every month. After that, you'll be able to see all our podcasts that are online. So if you missed any, please feel free to go there. You'll click on one, and it will bring you over to the You Decide website. And that way you'll be able to hit like, which is very important. You'll be able to hit like, and you'll be able to, very importantly, share and subscribe. Make sure to ring the bell. So that's how that works. Then you'll be able to see Patriot links. And these are links for you to be able to view when you have a chance. So, for example, if you'd like to become a Freedom Patriot, you click on that, and it will take you to the website Freedom Patriots. Okay? We have different apparel that we sell to support the organization, and contact information and ways for you to join our mailing list. So that's how that works. We also have things like gun ownership of Pennsylvania, and other websites that will help you along by just clicking on them. And that is updated very regularly. Okay, now if we go back after Patriot Links, you'll see events. This is our upcoming event coming up, Freedom Patriots event, Friday, June 25th, 6 p.m. And we also have a guest speaker who will be presenting over at Sanctuary Church on June 13th in Newfoundland, Sam Fettis, who's the intelligent expert, author, and commentator. He's a great guest speaker. Hopefully everybody will join us. And then here on small businesses, this is what we're doing. We want to network all our small businesses with our Patriots. So, for example, instead of you going to Home Depot because you need to buy something, you can come to this page and support your local small business owner who's networking with us. And that's really important. It's really Patriots supporting Patriots. Okay, and if you click on here, you'll go to their websites, if they have a website, or further information. That's how that works. Okay, our about information is who we are. Again, you can contact us for more questions, and our contact information if specifically you want to submit something to us. So that's how that works, okay? Very important to have access to all the media that we provide and stay informed with information that really will help you along as we take this battle on of bringing the constitutional freedoms and keeping the constitutional freedoms that we deserve and that many have fought for to retain. Thank you so much.